Good evening and welcome. Welcome to my podcast. I'm Bob Pace, and I'm glad you joined me to fight CPS and stop taking our children. Now, I'm just trying to, example banners. I don't know why they didn't show up there. Okay. It's a warm welcome. What you've now found is a podcast. It's live, and you found me on Facebook, Fighting CPS. There are 7 rooms that will take you here, plus the YouTube. I use YouTube to broadcast the live podcast, and I'm using the StreamYard application. Now, I'm on 14 times a week, twice a day, 7 days a week. I've been doing this now for 16 months. I've talked to over 900 people from around the world. And yes, I mean by saying the world. I've had all 50 states represented that have called in. I've had even the District of Columbia. And then I've had 21 countries from Indonesia to Bangladesh to India to Saudi Arabia to Libya to the continent of Africa, Liberia, Sudan, Rwanda, Mozambique, and 4 provinces in South Africa. Then up to Europe, I've had England, Scotland, Wales, Denmark, and Sweden. Then across the pond in North America, I've had Canada with its 4 provinces. And then I've had all the 50 states and the District of Columbia. South of the border, I've had Mexico. And then South America, I've had Grenada. Then across the Pacific, I've had New Zealand. And finalized with Australia, I've had 2 states there in Australia. So it's a real cosmopolitan of people. I've had calls even from South Africa, country code 27, from a sweet lady named Leica, who had a terrible case there, and she talked for a good hour. She's called several times. And then I've had one from England, from an English mom there, country code 44, and she talked for quite some time. Then Canada, I've had 4 or actually 6 Canadians that have called in. Some of them have been in doubles. And some of them are actually the First Nation people of Canada. The First Nation people have something common with the Native Americans in the United States. We call our Indians the Native Americans. And the Canadas call their Indians the First Nation. So there's been a good cross-representative. But all these people seem to have one thing in common. They've had a very difficult time with rogue child protection systems. That's what I call CPS, child protection systems. And a lot of them have gone rogue. And what I mean by that, they've turned up bad. They're in it for the money only. It's $1 trillion business. And they get the money from the federal government, and it's not watched or anything. The federal government gives exactly what the state wants, and the state in turn gives exactly what the county wants. The money's not regulated, it's free flowing, and it's exorbitant. I know in my case, my 3 children, there was $20,000 each of them every month. They're getting the CPS was being paid in Orange County, that kind of money. And if you're a special need, it doubles. And there's no need or no why it goes up there. But they pay bonuses and incentives to the social workers. So you got to be careful out there. You really have to be careful out there. Now, we have Betty from Montana. She's one of my room regulars. I have 25 to 50 regulars that come in our room every day, twice a day. And I'm glad to see you. And how was your day, Betty? Did it get any better? I know you left this morning to go off to work there, but wonder how your day was going. Now, there's 4 ways that you can interact with this podcast. One of the first ways is just by being in this room. I'm glad you found it. And take notes and listen. There's a lot that goes on. A lot of people talk about some good ideas, good things. They're here to support you, and you can support them too. There's emojis, smiley faces, thumbs up, Hearts you can send me. That's great. Also, you can send me stars. Then check below if you want to follow me. And if you want to be notified when I'm on, check the notification button. That will tell you exactly when I'm on. Now, I'm on from 10 o'clock in the morning for an hour. That is Pacific Standard Time on the West Coast of California. And I'm on in the evening at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And they're 1 hour podcasts, so it's twice a day. Now, there are some changes, or sometimes do every weekend on Saturday and Sunday. I come on at 8 o'clock in the morning instead of 10 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. So there are other days, like during the high school football season, that I come in early on Friday afternoons because of Friday night lights. So there may be something I have to attend. I still have young children. I have raised 6 children. I have 3 young ones and 3 older ones. They have children of their own. And I, too, was involved in CPS. It was a terrible, terrible experience. I will tell you more about it, but a lot of you have heard me on that. So anyway, that's what you can do in this room. But if you want to do something more, you can actually text me a message like Betty from Montana is. She's already, Betty says it's a busy day. Now, Betty is trying to get her niece, her brother's child from Nebraska to Montana. She's using the Interstate Compact placement for children, the ICPC. That's where they check it out and they transport the child from one home to the other home. And they want to make sure the child's safe. And one of the problems that she's encountering now, at first, the IPC was expiring in March. And it was current at that time, but the social worker tried to delay it purposely. You know, these social workers are so bad, saying it was expired or something. And so they had the paperwork to show that it was still current. But anyway, she's getting a new one there. But now they're backpedaling, saying now the child will have a problem adapting to her guardian. See, Betty wants to be a guardian of the child, and she can say, well, I've bonded with the other one. But that was a smokescreen by the attorney for the child to make more money. And now they're going to talk to, I guess, a nurse, but I don't know. The best people, I want to tell everybody, it's been proven, are the biological mom and dad. If they can be repaired or fixed, wherever, that's the best way to do it. Now, this child protection agency or system that I call CPS has different names in every county, every state. Every state has counties, and each of the counties have a CPS system. And this CPS system is supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse. That is how Congress mandated that social service make a group of intelligent people to protect her children. And the way they hear about these people is all phone calls in. So there are 2 kinds of people that call in, lay people and professionals. Now, the professionals are like your school teachers, your doctors, nurse, your principals, caregivers, police, anybody that works with children are professionals. And they take a class of how to recognize neglect and abuse, and they probably learned about how to report it and everything else. Well, they're pretty savvy on how to report it and not misuse it. But the other kind of person, the lay person, that lay person abuses. Over half of the calls of a lay person are bogus, meaning they made up some story because they want to retaliate against a neighbor. So they made the neighbor look bad. Like maybe the neighbor's yard is overgrowing their yard, or the dog's barking too much. So they'll make up stories. It's really, really, really sad, the stories they try to make up. But that is there. Betty, I'm just talking. If you got something for me to answer, I will certainly step in. I just got information early today, Betty says. They are placing the baby with me, but they're worried about the bond that we have together. She might be having anxiety or anything like that. Yeah, you told me about that earlier this morning, Betty. And I asked you who told you, and it was the child's attorney. And now they want to contact a nurse or something there. The problem is it's all controlled by CPS. You'll be fine. That baby will adapt to you because why? Because your brother, who's the father of the child, will be involved. That baby needs to know his dad. Doesn't need to know a stranger foster parent who is only in there for their interests. Not all foster parents are like you, Betty. A lot of them are bad and corrupt. And they know they get money by having a child in foster care. It's a lot of money that CPS gives. So I think it's going to be perfectly fine. They're stalling again. First is because your ICPC was expiring or something. They're always looking for ways. They want to stretch as long as they can and make money off the whole thing. And it's gross. You need to proceed ahead with your guardianship. Get guardianship of your niece and be able to have her get to know her dad. That is really important. I know the mother is no good anymore and the mother's taken off and so forth. But I think she still has a father. And your brother is her father. And it should be really encouraged. And you should also talk to your doctors or nurses what the anxiety. There is this, the anxiety was brought on because CPS took the child. And they're the ones that placed them in the foster care system. The mother was pretty bad off. The father didn't have a job. They're living in a tree house. They moved from Montana to Nebraska. And Nebraska child protection system there is awful. It is awful there. So you're okay, Betty. You're okay. I don't think you have to worry about the anxiety. I think you can fight this. You just got to be firm about it and emphasize that the child's father will be with you when you have guardianship of that child. The child's father will be there. The child's father, I heard from you, says he has a job now, and I guess he's staying with you. Is he staying with you? I can't remember how is he living. Now, anybody else can say anything they want. We have several people in the room now. I've told you about texting a message or a comment pertaining to CPS. Please show me your first name, your county, or your city that the case was in, the state or the country if you're from outside the United States. Also try to be complete with your CPS case. I know as much as there is, so I don't have to play ping pong ball, asking questions, you answer, asking questions back and forth, back and forth. So Betty further says, I'm getting ready for adoption. Good. Betty, by the way, is a foster care mom. She's so great. She took a 4-year-old child that lost his parents several Fridays ago. And that child will stay with her until the family members adopt him. So there's family members that want to come and adopt the child. She's not interested in adoption of all the kids. A lot of the foster people like to adopt kids because they can't have ones themselves or they want the money. And then there's a lot of abuse goes in with foster care. A lot of bad abuse makes foster care look bad. Betty's one of the good social workers. She's a good foster care mom. And she's talked about her foster care and what she did. Now I'm going to move on the third way that you can interact with this podcast, and that's by being a guest on my podcast. Now Betty says, no, he lives in his car. Oh boy. Betty, you told me he got a job and he was not going to do that anymore. I'm sorry, I did not know that he lives in a car. He needs to be in a home that's stable because I know you're trying to adopt a child and be a guardian of that child, but I'm trying to give a selling point. If you have a father that is living not in a car, but living somewhere and has a job, then that is the way you can sell CPS about having the daughter come and you be the guardianship. You really need to make your brother look better. And I thought from talking to you in the past that he had a job and he had a place to live. I had no idea he's still living in his car. I mean, that's what got him into trouble when he went to Nebraska. He and his girlfriend were living in a tree house. and it was not safe for the child and stuff, and so they took it away. Now I know that the mother's out of the picture, but I really like to see the father have some rights. He gave up his he terminate his educational and medical rights to the child. Wow, I know you were talking about that, but that is sad. That is sad. Does he want to appeal that decision? I know you said you wanted to get full guardianship, and he's okay with that. But right now, the foster parents will make all the decisions. If they don't want the child to go to you as guardianship, they're going to make all the decisions. You should have waited before he lost his terminal rights, because the foster care will now assume the rights of the child. So you got another problem you got to think about. Well, he lost his job, but he needs to get another job. Betty, if you want to get that child and you want to get guardianship, you got to hold off with him losing his rights. Now, he can appeal that decision. There's a time for appeal, but he's got to do it right away. He's got to appeal the termination rights. I would never give up my rights to my children. They would have to kill me first. I love my children too much, and I'll do anything. I'm right now very much trying to take care of my family. I could have very easily left 15 years ago when I got involved in CPS. I could have abandoned my family, gone off my own, and got a really good paying job and just take care of myself. But I stuck it out, and my family is really going through hard times. We're going through hard times. I was able to get food this month, which was good news. I thought I lost my chance of getting food. So I got the food coming in. And I'm able to pay my basic bills. And so I really would never give up my rights to my children. And with him giving the rights, the foster care mother now has the rights to that child. They may dictate they don't want to see that child be adopted by you in a guardianship. They may stop you there. Oh boy, that is sad. Don't let CPS know that he doesn't want anymore. But you have to be really careful now, because once his rights are terminated, that child now has all the rights controlled by the foster care family that has custody of that child. And you're going to have a hard time getting guardianship because it's out of state, and the child, you said, has anxiety. And I don't know how you could sell the anxiety, because how's she going to bond with you? I don't know if you knew her when she was in Montana. She knows who you are. So you got another problem there. This is not sounding good, Betty. It's really distressing me. I'm not trying to be there. Betty, would you like to call in? By the way, I forgot to tell you, if you want to be a guest on my podcast, all you do is contact my show producer. Her name is Grace. You send in whether you want a Saturday morning show or Friday night show. You just pick one of those days, and night or day, Monday through Sunday. Send an email to grace@vincentwdavis.com. That's grace@vincentwdavis.com. She'll send you a link, get you on the show, and you can talk about the case. This thing on a guest show, I can take 9 of you at one time. Now, if you call in on my phone, I can only do one-on-one there. But she'll give you the link. If you fall off, you can use that link again. She'll also tell you what to do and not to do on the podcast. Now, the fourth way to do this podcast is please call me at 626-698-0990. That's my direct line to my office phone. I use Vonage to work the phone application. So my phone's live if you want to call in, Betty, and maybe talk about this. How do you know they're still placed with you? You just told me they're questioning about the anxiety. The attorney for the child is questioning that there be anxiety if the child goes to you. And now when you don't, now when the terminal rights are removed from the father, who has the terminal rights? The terminal rights are now with the foster care mom that has temporary custodial custody of her. That's what I'm worried about. Well, you just told me, I know you said the child doesn't have anxiety, but you told me the attorney was worried the child would have anxiety. They think she might have anxiety if she comes here. Well, sure she is. And with no rights, I mean, I was trying to diffuse that, Betty. What I was trying to tell you that if your brother, her father, still had his terminal rights to the child, it's easy for then you to adopt because the mother doesn't have the rights. But by you letting the terminal rights go through, it relinquishes the rights. And the rights are now with the foster care mom in Nebraska. See, if you still had the rights with the your brother still had the rights, there'd be a reason why you could diffuse the anxiety. Now, does the father still want to see the child if you bring him in your custody? I'm just heartbroken that the child can't be with the mother or the father. And I hope she can be with you, Betty, but it may be a problem. Well, you can't trust the judge. You can't trust child protection services. You can't trust them. They lie. They say one thing and do another. They bring you up. I've heard too many stories. Over 900 people have called in here or texted in here, and they've all lied to over 900 people. There's numerous videos of judges lying and social workers lying. My social worker lied to the point where she brainwashed my child to do something drastic because she was on revenge. She wanted us never to see our child again. So she encouraged her 12-year-old daughter that you need to emancipate from your parents, change your name, seal your birth certificate, get a new social security card, and be adopted by foster care. And she did all those things because she was instructed to by the social worker who was caught committing perjury in court. And we could sue her. She was caught lying. Anyway, Betty, I'm trying to help. I'm not trying to. You're the one that's in charge. You're the one that wants to know everything. But I'm looking at this thing right now that once the rights are terminated, that foster care mother where the child's placed will assume those rights. They'll make a decision there. They'll assume those rights. Do you want to call in, Betty, to talk about further? Okay, we got some rooms coming in, some more messages. Bear with it. They seem to want to come and repeat on these podcasts I have. So they've come in before, now they're going to come in again. So your messages will be somehow dumped down at the bottom again. Also, these messages are important to read because they give you links of things coming up. I have a number on the screen, which is the law office of Vincent W. Davis. It's 888, then 888-8582. That's the law office. And there you can get things like books and guides. There's one important guide that Betty's doing right now. It's called the Grandparent Guide of Guardianship, a step-by-step. It's set for California, but it'll work anywhere. and there's a lot of other information in that guide, and you should get it. Right now, it's $9.99 if you go to the website. I think it's in some of the messages from the room. I wanted to add that as one of my banners, but I don't know. It's San the Stand Store, STAN. Vincent has a Stand Store, and there's where all the guides are. It's a website, and the guide is $9.99, but it's on sale for half off if you use my code. My code is PACE, PACE 50, and that's the code that you can write in. That's the code you can write in. So anyway, I'm waiting for new messages from you guys that you can text in. Oh, there they are. Oh, there's more rooms. Boy. Okay. All right, we have Betty again. No, I have proof that the judge said it today in a court hearing. Well, okay. It's just that last month you had a proper piece, the Children Placement Compact for Children, CPC. And social services at the hearing said, no, it's expired. And it had not expired, but they're just trying to delay it further. Now there's anxiety that's been expressed. Now, if they bring that up in court, I don't know if the judge will keep his promise. There's no guarantees. And I'm just saying that it's really a good argument point if you say the biological father will share in the upbringing of his child and be there. He's living with me or he lives next door in an apartment. But if he gives up his rights, the child's no longer his. And maybe he's drifted out of love for that child. I don't know. If I created something, it's hard for me not to love that child. Mm. Mm. So if anybody would like to talk in, I think at this time I'm going to talk about my 5 rules. Not too many people are saying too much. Betty is talking, which is great. I want to help out Betty. And she's a good foster mother, by the way. I told her that she's taking care of a little boy of 4 who lost his parents several Fridays ago to an auto accident. And he's with her until he gets some family members to adopt him. But that's hard to lose your mom and dad. That's really hard to lose your mom and dad. Now, rule number 1 is the important one. It's the attorney. You see, you have to navigate and fight CPS. They can't be trusted. What I say, fighting CPS is like open heart surgery. If your heart needs repair work, are you going to take a knife, open up your chest, take your heart out, and work on the heart? No, you're going to have a professional doctor do it. Someone that went to medical school, internship, did an apprenticeship program, followed another doctor, mentored another doctor. Anyway, the whole gamut. That's what you need. It's a professional attorney. Somebody like my attorney, Vincent Davis. He has been fighting CPS for 39 years. He has gotten back thousands of children. So he has a good record about that. He is a juvenile family law, dependency law attorney. He knows how to fight CPS. He's been doing it and won back thousands of children. He also sued CPS and won, thousands of dollars in cases against CPS. In fact, there is a CPS that uses him as a training video to know how to fight a good attorney. It's sad, but there's some corrupt CPS that do that, to say there. I discovered that by watching him on his office hours. And he had a guest, and they said that the CPS system was using Vincent's videos and Vincent's how he attacks clients, so forth, to train their social workers. Well, let me see here. Philistine, thank you for the thumbs up. Philistine's from Canada. She dropped in. I know there's a lot of you behind the scenes watching, maybe thinking of the opportunity. It's okay. You don't have to call in or text in or talk on the show. You just learn. Maybe there's something that I will help you. That's what I'm helping. I'm trying to relay what worked for me that will work for you. And so I know what it is to have my hands behind my back and not be able to do what I want to do. Especially when your children are trafficking or stolen or being alienated from you as parents. Those are all illegal methods, but CPS does and gets away with it. Whoop, excuse me. Now, the law office of Vincent W. Davis and Associates has said in its room meeting, the website you want to go to get that book, the grandparent book, is right there. You go to the website there and use my discount code PACE50. It's all capitalized. Or use VWD 50. Okay? And that will get you 50% off the book. But that's an excellent guide. There's other guides at the Sand Store that you may want to see too. There's other guides too. So okay, Betty says she's got to go. Sad that you have to, but thank you so much for texting in, and you're going to get your new family member. Okay, the little boy you're taking care of, the 4-year-old boy. You're a good mother, Betty. You're a good foster care mother, and I know you're trying to do best. And I do pray that you get guardianship of your brother's child. But keep in mind what I said, okay? Just be careful. They're looking for ways to keep the child. Because if you get guardianship, I don't know if they'll give you any funding. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know. That's something you would have to share with us. But I think the child deserves to be with you, Betty. And I wouldn't worry about anxiety because if you've known the child and you bonded before, she should be able to pick up where she left off with you. So that should be a good thing. That should be a good thing. But I really wish your brother would get a job and stop living in his car. That's a terrible way to do it. I know what it is to live in a car. I've done it. and it's really, really difficult. In fact, I ended up in the hospital because I used my sports car, my RX-7, and it has no horizontal position to sleep. And so I ended up in the hospital because of that. But you be safe. God bless you, Betty, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Again, thank you, Betty from Montana. She's a social worker. She's a foster mom, but she really wants her niece. And so she's trying to formally get guardianship of her niece. All right, we were talking about my rules. We're still at rule number 1. And how much left of my show time is there? Okay, it's about 15 minutes left of my show time. My show's over 8 o'clock, so I'll try to cover my rules the remainder amount of time. As I mentioned, the first rule is you need an attorney. Why? Because CPS is so corrupt, and you need someone that knows how to navigate and knows about how to fight CPS. That's someone we have is Vincent Davis. He has 39 years of experience. He's a professional lawyer in the areas of juvenile law, family law, and dependency law. Plus, he has other areas and other laws, but it's too long. I mean, enough time to really talk about that. But anyway, um, um, going to that number 1, you probably say, well, why can't I use a court appointed attorney or a public defender? Well, I think they're pretenders, to be honest with you. They're not defenders because they don't have a background in juvenile law, family law, or dependency law. They're usually criminal lawyers first out of school. So they even haven't mentored anybody. And they're given this assignment to work for CPS. So they'd be controlled and paid by them and work by them. So I'm telling you, the courts aren't not friendly. The social workers stack the public defenders with 30 or more cases, so they don't have time to talk to you. They will not talk to you outside of court. The only time you talk to them is when they're at court. That's usually in the hallway for a brief 5 minutes when you might need hours to tell them everything. So, you know, well, we gotten kind of quiet here, but anyway, these rules aren't all that exciting, but try to get an attorney. You need to make at least get 3 quotes. You need to make a phone call for each one and ask them these 2 questions. Question 1: are you a professional licensed juvenile law, family law, dependency lawyer, and have fought CPS and gotten the children back? If the answer is yes, then go on to question number 2. When the case is closed, have you sued CPS either in state court or federal court and won money back because of it? If the answer is yes, then you found the right attorney to interview them and check out their references. You should do that with each one of the 3. Now, with Vincent Davis, I'll help you out a little bit because he is all those things. So you don't have to ask a question about him. You can ask him about his rates for his retainer. And the rates for retainer all depends on how difficult the case is and how long the case has been going on. So that is really important. That's really important. Now, if you have to use a court appointed attorney, you don't have any money, make sure you tell them to do their job or that you will sue them and complain at the state bar that they're not doing their job. See, they won't fight because they're controlled by social service. And they just want to get the case over so you can move on the next one, the next one, the next one. Oh, we got someone else, maybe. Nope. Thought it was, but it wasn't. Okay. Let's move on to rule number 2. That's where you get your documentation together. Everything should be documented, and you should have a notebook about 3 inches thick, a 3-ring binder notebook. Stuff it full of papers and subject dividers. One of the most important documents that you can make is called the incident time log of all the incidents that have happened in your case. You will not remember them, and you need to write them down. You need 3 lines for each incident. The first line is the date and time, the people who you talk to, and the location. The second line is you put a summary of what the incident's about, a 1-sentence summary. Third line is the outcome, how the incident ended. And you may not have that for some time, but that's how you should do your alternates there. Now that incident log, you start with the earliest first, and then as it grows, you have pages and pages. But 5 years from now, you remember it. It takes an average of about 3 years to finalize your case. My case did that too. I had a horrible case. I still hurt from talking about it. Destroyed our 12-year-old child. She's 22 now, but she has nothing to do with us, which is sad. She does see her brothers. I encourage her to see her brothers. But I just know from talking to them, they seem to be okay. They seem to be okay. Now that notebook will come in later on when you're 6 months in your case. You can refer some. Put all your court documents in there. Hole punch them. Put all your certificates of classes you took or programs you completed. Put all your drug tests in there. Things that are very important documents should go in that notebook, and have that notebook with you at all times. The rule number 3 is say no to social workers and don't talk to them. Do not let them in your home. Do not give up your child. Your home is your castle. You don't have to open it to anybody, even the police. You can ask for a warrant because a warrant will open up your home, but it's got to be a proper executed warrant. Oh, Betty says she is, I thought she signed off. No, I'm going to go to Nebraska tomorrow morning. Oh, good. Good, 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 good. I want to hear the news, Betty. I want to hear the news. I want to hear the news. Now, rule number 3 is you always say no to social workers. You don't talk to them. You don't open the door. Too many people have been killed lately. Too many people have been killed lately by opening the door. You don't know who's on the other door. They have mistaken all the time. They're mistaken. All the time they're mistaken, and people are killed. I know of 3 incidents that 3 people are dead because the police that researched their premises, the person opened the door, and they should never have. One was an Air Force man who, was serving his country. His mom is in Alabama, and he's in Gainesville, Florida. And the sheriff department of Gainesville, Florida, had a mistaken apartment for domestic violence and shot him 5 times in the chest. He died talking to his fiancée on FaceTime. There is a tragic example of opening the door. Another one was a mother who was arguing with a sheriff who she let into the house. He got so angry, he shot her 5 times in the face and killed her. He had a deputy with him that did nothing. The mother did not deserve to die because she was disagreeing. Then there was a third lady who was killed by 2 policemen because she couldn't speak English and she had trouble. She's a special needs person and she has had trouble, and they thought that she was using something against them, and she wasn't. Anyway, she's dead. There are 3 people dead, and no matter if they sue the people or fire the people that did it, they're not coming back. So I hope that emphasizes of answering the door. Do not answer the door. There's only 3 ways they can come in your home, your castle. 1, you give them permission, or a family friend gives them permission, or a child gives them permission. You got to instruct your family, friends, and children, everything. Do not answer the door. Do not open the door. You can have a special knock or ring so other family members can come in. Come in. So I'm telling you, you got to be really, really careful out there opening that door, or even letting them in, or even talking to them. Anything you say to them, they'll use it against you. They lie. So don't let them in. Do not give them permission. Now, if there's an ongoing dispute with your children, and let's say the biological parents' mom are sitting there fighting the children, hurting the children, they're going to break into the home. Because safety is a most important thing. Also, if you happen to encounter them outside, you just say, I'll get my attorney. I need to have my attorney present. I cannot talk to you right now. I cannot let you in. We can set up a place or time. Let your attorney do that. That gives you time to get an attorney if you haven't hired one. If you do get an attorney, it's worth it. That attorney help you a little bit. Even if you can't afford very much, you try to get that attorney. CPS is counting. They can prey on people that don't have attorneys. I didn't have an attorney. I tried to argue my case or everything else. I tried to use a public defender, but it was a waste of time. I did get an attorney, Mr. Davis. He got me back 2 of my 3 children. We had 3 were taken in custody. My daughter was one that he was able to get back. That's still sad today. So you got to be extremely careful when you're dealing with a situation. Open up your home. If you open up a home, they're going to look for something. They love to go to underwear drawers. I don't know why. Maybe there's drugs in there. They're looking for something because they don't have enough with the phone complaint. So they're looking for something. That's why you don't want them to do that. By law, they don't have to. Now, if they have a warrant, now warrant will give specific instructions. That warrant will tell you that they need to come in to do this, this, or that with the child, or with this with you, or something like that. But whatever you do, do not talk to them. And you got to hang on to your child because they'll try to take the child there from you. So make sure you have the attorney present when talking to them. He will tell you what you can do and not do. Just remember, talking to them, they use it against you. Now, watch out medical trafficking. That's where you take a child to urgent care or the emergency room of the hospital. There, social workers are working there. Child protection system social workers are working at the hospital. You have to be careful. They'll sit there and say, we need to take the child or the child's in danger. Also, there's medical trafficking. I was saying that is that if you're having a baby, they want to take your daughter because she tested positive for drugs. No, it doesn't work that way. You got to stand up for your civil rights. So whatever you do, don't talk to them. Your attorney will tell you what to say or do. So that's rule number 3. Rule number 4 is that you need to use the internet wisely. You need to spend 60, 80 hours researching CPS. And the way to do so is the way you paraphrase your search. Now, I use Google as a search engine. There's other search engines too. But I find out that if you list the city and the state followed by the letter CPS, a lot of things will show up for that area in CPS. Also, if you want to refine CPS, put down specifically what you want to find out about CPS. Like how do you do a 388 motion? What is a 160 hearing? What is the ICWA of 1978, the Indian Child Welfare Act? On and on and on. You put those phrases after CPS, you'll get your answer. You'll get your answer. So spend 60, 80 hours on the internet to talk about your case, other cases, similar cases, how they were fought, how they got attorneys, so forth. You need to spend some quality time to do that. Now, rule number 5 is pretty simple. It's you're going to make copies of important documents and put them in a folder or in an envelope. Things like the child's shot record, the child's report card, the child's birth certificate, the child's social security card. They can be copies. They don't have to be the original. Your marriage certificate should be in there. Your birth certificate and your driver's license. Same with your spouse of if you're married or if you're a partnership, they should be also included in there. Those are very important documents, and I think most of you have those documents, but they're scattered. So if you have an envelope or a folder and you have it attached to your notebook, it's all there. It's all there. You want to have medical records for your children if there's something that would be questionable and stuff. So if they're a diabetic or something like that, you got to have all the records support everything. So that's my rule number 5. So I've given you 5 rules. 1, you get an attorney. 2, you organize a notebook. 3, you do not talk to CPS or the police, and don't let them take your children. 4, use the internet wisely. Spend some time on it. Phrase your questions. And number 5, gather up all your documents and have them in one spot, and just copies. So that way, if there's a question, you can pull it out of the folder. That folder or the envelope will go with the notebook. The notebook, make sure it's at least 3 inches thick. It's got to be a big one. There's a lot of documents. My court case was almost 3 feet. It was 36 inches almost, stacked high by files and paperwork and folders. Now, all these things I mentioned to you, rules 1 through 5, I wish I had known about, because I would have never been involved in CPS. I would have gotten my children, never would have been taken. If I knew that you're not supposed to open up your house or let them in, you're not supposed to talk to them, I would have done that. I would have done that. Now, we're getting ready to close the room now, because it's now, let's see the time. It's now 8:04. I've gone over. So I want to thank everybody that came in tonight. I want to thank the emojis and everything you sent me. I want to thank all the text messages. I want to thank Betty from Montana that called in tonight. That was really great seeing her there. I want to thank the rest of you. Philistine that gave me a thumbs up from Canada. Thank you. I know some of you dropped by, said nothing. I want to thank you for dropping by, and I hope you'll see me tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I want to say God bless you all, and don't forget to fight for your children. This is Bob Pace signing